Yes, folks, check this out. It's a very exciting week here at MoDXtra Games and Collectibles Towers, as I have had 3 import classified series figures arrive just today. I'm buzzing. The excitement amplifier is turned up to 11 once again, and I'm going to get started with the one I've been most anticipating, which is the G.I. Joe classified series rock and roll figure, or as it says on the box, Craig Rock and Roll McConnell. So let's get into it. Let's not dilly-dally around. I need to get this one open. So here we have the packaging. It is this new design of windowless packaging, which I think looks really great. Somebody commented on one of my videos the other day that, isn't it ironic that they've kind of now got an aesthetic that looks really shit hot, they've gone and announced that they're going back to windowed packaging. But whatever, that's fine, doesn't matter to me. I'm a box opener. I'm not a mint in box guy, so makes no odds to me. But I like the cover here, the digital render of the figure, this green kind of colour scheme, coloury aesthetic works really well with the black borders and trimmings. They're still sticking with the artwork though there. We've got rock and roll artwork along the side here. I'm not so much into that picture actually. I'm a bit lukewarm on the artwork there. There's no denying it's done by a great artist. It's just not my cup of tea. Then we've got the details of all the various accessories and goodies that are included with the figure. So yeah, good looking box on the peg there. As we've seen with other G.I. Joe classified series figures in the new look, new feel packaging, we've got the measurement and the digital render with yet more outlining of the included accessories, and then a few features that they've focused on with some close-up photos, the tats, the paint applications on the tattoos, and the bullet belts across his chest, and the peg hole at the back, which is all lovely. This is my import sticker with the details of the place in Hong Kong where it's come from. We've then got the data card information across the bottom here. They've made this a much less significant element of the packaging actually compared to the way it used to be. We've got like a little lightning bolt there, which I can only assume means that Rock and Roll's favourite Bowie album is Aladdin Sane. We've then got what looks like, I don't know, like an air fryer. Maybe Rock and Roll's one of these kind of new air frying hipster types. I can see him enjoying the air frying of a few nuggets now and again. Then we've got some dumbbells here. So he's a guy who works out, bro swole. And then there's like an old sort of cannon, artillery cannon thing here. So I don't know if this is lore or not, but I think Rock and Roll is a Civil War reenactor. He spends his weekends reenacting the Civil War and manning a huge cannon. All the legal bollocks and malarkey across the bottom. More legal bollocks and malarkey on the bottom of the packaging there. On this side here, it points out that he's number 71, and we've got a bigger version of the artwork from the front of the box. And then on this side here, we've got the QR code, which I tried this on a previous video. It just takes you to a random Hasbro page with loads of Peppa Pig stuff on it. I don't know if that's changed since the other week when I did Copperhead. And then the data card information replicated across the bottom of the QR code here too. So let's get this bad boy open. I'll pop the tape. He's going to be in the little kind of cardboardy bracket thing. So we've got Rock and Roll in the cardboard bracket, and then the weapons locker. Oh, in the black colour scheme again, like Copperhead was. Just did a quick bit of off-camera chopping there, but let's get into the weapons locker. Crack the top open here, where we get one of the little baggies, and paperwork. That's quite full, that. Make sure I shake it down to the bottom. I like to just tear across the top there like that. And tip. Like a squeezing from the bottom like a toothpaste tube. Here we go. Oh, the battery's just died on me light. Nah. So we've got his helmet here. What's that? That's like a little bullety bit, rubbery bullety bit, and then a longer bullet belt here. The machine gun. Oh, it's got a bit of cardboard around that. I'll chop that off in a second. His changeable hands, his comms, his radio. Another bit of the comms. Oh no, that's the bullet belt feeder thing, and then his handgun. So we'll take a closer look at those in a bit when I get into the review section. And then Rock and Roll himself here. Look, let's get him out the cardboard there. Oh yeah, that's an exciting figure. Right, there he is then. Not too bad at all, actually, out the packet. Maybe a bit gummy in the butterfly joints, but I'll take a closer inspection of that in a moment. Can never resist just getting hands on straight away, can I? But feeling good. Feeling good. Initial reaction is positive. So I'm going to go away, get some man-child playtime in, take some photos, pose him up, see how he looks in the displays and stuff. Have a little bit of fun with these accessories, get these on about his person, and see how I feel. And then I'll be back in a couple of days to share some review thoughts on him. So stick around, folks, because Future Chris is going to be back with you in 3, 2, 1. And here we go then, folks. Here is Craig Rock and Roll McConnell in the plastic. It's been a few days now since I recorded the unboxing section of the video that you've just watched. Not the usual. Actually, quite often I take a long time between the unboxing and the review section of the video, but two fortunate confluence of events have allowed me to get into the review section a lot sooner than usual. The first is that it's a bank holiday weekend here in the United Kingdom, so I've got some extra time off, which is allowing me some more recording time. And secondly, I've just been so excited to have some new G.I. Joe Classified Series figures that I have been man-child playing like a maniac. It's been posing and photographing, and I've had them all out. Rock and Roll was hanging out with Outback and Covergirl and Stalker and Snake Eyes, and then I had him fighting Scrap Iron, and him and Shipwreck were, I don't know, hanging out somewhere. I kind of had them sat looking like they were chilling. I put the guitar on him because obviously it's rock and roll, although I didn't have a bass. I've only got a 6-string, 6-inch scale guitar. So anyway, that's all by the by, but check out some of those photos made their way out into my Instagram, so check those out. But if you're new around these parts, let me give you the rundown as to what a MoDXtra Games and Collectibles review looks like. It's made up of 3 sections that I call the 3 A's. The first A is aesthetics, so we're going to have a good chat and a closer look at how rock and roll looks, the aesthetic qualities of the figure. What's the visual impact? What's the paint applications like? The textures in there, the colour schemes, all that good stuff. Just how does he land on the eye? Then into the second A, which is going to be articulation. Let's have a look at how poseable he is, how well does he move. And then the third A is going to be added value and accessories. And with all that said and done, if you're on the fence about picking up a rock and roll of your own, then hopefully the review thoughts I share today will help you make up your mind. So let's crack on with it. Let's get into the aesthetic section. Okay, I brought rock and roll a bit nearer to the camera so that we can conduct a closer inspection of the visual elements, the aesthetic qualities of the figure. And the first thing that strikes you about rock and roll here is that he is a good nod to the classic, OG 13 look rock and roll. He's got the general aesthetic that your nostalgia recalls about the figure. The crisscross bullet belts across his chest, the greens, or certainly the dark green elements, the fact that he's a beardy dude, all that's in place, but they've obviously then modernized, contemporized him, as G.I. Joe Classified Series is often want to do, changed up the color scheme a little bit to frame it a bit better, added some more details with regards to the tap paint applications and stuff, and just modernized it generally in terms of belts and straps and knee pads and all that kind of stuff. So it's to my mind, it's a good solid nod at the original look and feel, but with that classic G.I. Joe Classified Series reinterpretation, which I really enjoy. Now, as always, G.I. Joe Classified Series, I'm bowled away at the head sculpt action, and rock and roll is no different. Obviously, the bearded look, the bearded image that rock and roll has is a key element to the character's personality, part of that narrative, that storytelling element that's attached to the figure, and they've really nailed that. I mean, look at the sculpt work on the beard and the hair, it's amazing. I love the little, the top little groove in the moustache there, just really, and he's got a slight kind of swoopy motion, like his moustache and his beard is a touch untidy and a bit tufty in places. Brilliant, absolutely amazing. And the hair as well. Look at the sculpt on that with the washing there too. Just really gorgeous work. Very, very pleased with that. The facial features are really well sculpted. The cheeks, the nose, the eyes, the eyebrows. Great eyes as well. Just got a very kind of piercing, serious soldier man kind of thing going on there, which is nice. But with a slight smirk. Can you see the ever so slight smirk here on the right hand side? Just very subtle. I detected this slight little cheeky smirk in there as well. So he's got serious soldier boy eyes. I get down to serious business, when I'm out in the field, but with a little cheeky smirk there that sells that kind of rock and roll element to the figure. So that's nice. One observation though is that the head feels a little bit more narrow than we're used to with regards to G.I. Joe Classified Series heads. It's marginally so. And it's negligible, really. It's hardly noticeable. But I had him next to Spirit and Outback, and there was something about he looked like he was a bit pinheady by comparison, ever so slightly, just enough for me to notice. And then once I noticed, I couldn't shake it off. Now, there's a practical reason for that I'll return to a bit later on, which means it doesn't actually bother me all that much. But Yeah, now I brought it up, I bet you can't stop seeing it too, can you? Let me know in the comments down below. Is it my imagination? But his head definitely seems a little bit narrower, a little bit smaller around the sides, not quite as wide as some of the other characters. One of the other key visual elements to the figure that really leaps out at you is the tattoos, the paint applications on the tats. These are lovely and detailed, very well applied, obviously excellently on brand with the rock and roll persona, which I'm very, very pleased with. That's the left arm there. And there's the right arm. They look really great. Excellent paint applications. Lovely piece of work. On the front here, you can see he's got that classic mom in a heart there. Oh, lovely. See, he may be a very serious soldier boy and a very serious bass guitarist, but still loves his mother. The tattoos are a great visual element. They really add some narrative, some storytelling elements that connect in a lovely way to that rock and roll call sign handle that he uses in his G.I. Joe role, in his G.I. Joe persona. If you inspect them really closely, they're a bit balmy. I can't quite fully pin down what it is they're depicting or trying to communicate, other than the fact that he loves his mum. They're quite dark when you stare at them for too long, but that's fine. He's obviously a little bit more on the metal side, on the gothier side of rock and roll. I'm more of a classic rock guy myself, but that's fine. There's not much else to speak of in terms of paint applications. The only other thing that stands out is this kind of wrist bandolier style thing with the bullets there. All the bullets are painted in the individual kind of brass colours, which is really nice, and it goes all the way around the wrist as well. I know that Hasbro has a habit of shortcutting on that sometimes, but that's about it in terms of paint applications. However, we have got lots of lovely textures and details and layers throughout the outfit there. You can see the folds, the creases, the seams, the musculature is well sculpted. He's got the classic G.I. Joe classified trousers with the texture pattern in there. The knee pads have got details sculpted into them. The straps, the belts, all that stuff's there. Of course, the bullet belts, which are a key visual feature there, I've got the brown leather strap through the middle, but with the brass bullet shapes on either side. That's really well done. Looks a bit plasticky, but it's fine. One bugbear that regular viewers will have heard me bang on about before and will hear me bang on about again now is the shiny torso stuff. Really, just once my eye sees it, I can't unsee it. But the way that the sort of more matte look of the green and the, I don't know, what is that? What would you say? Like, there's two shades of green there, isn't there? Like the light green and the dark green. How they just slightly differ once you get into the more kind of shinier center torso area. It's not quite as egregious on rock and roll as it has been on other figures in the past. But yeah, this shiny top thing is definitely a problem. When I get to Shipwreck, you'll see it even more in his shirt. The shirts are terrible for shininess. Thinking back to like Recondo and Dusty and stuff, and now Shipwreck. But anyway, yeah, there's a bit of shiny plasticiness there in the chest, which just is what it is. I'll let that slide. Leather look here on the front of the boots. Yeah, it's just lovely. They've got nice textures. I would probably say one of the only downfalls is that in paint application space is lacking a little bit of stuff around here. Maybe a black buckle would have gone nice, or see the second belt that's under the over belt there, that's not painted. Sometimes they often paint those, don't they? So there's just some little finishy touches aesthetically that are missing. But otherwise, overall, rock and roll's got some great stuff going on. And when he gets all his gear, which we'll take a look at a little bit later on in the review when we do the added value and accessory sections, when he's all geared up, it all ties together really nicely and does strike quite an impressive visual figure. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say there, really. The head sculpt, the beard, the tattoos, the nod to the nostalgic look and feel, but with the new interpretations all there. My only criticism is a shiny torso. So, and maybe the fact that his belt buckle could have been painted, which is, in the catalogue of things that I've criticised about action figures on this channel, that's really good going. So I'm definitely giving rock and roll a big old tooth. MoDXtra Games and Collectibles, thumbs up for the aesthetic. Absolutely, really love the way that this guy looks. After having him in hand for a few days, they've delivered on what I saw in those digital renders. So there we go. Right, let's wrap up aesthetic then, and let's now talk a little bit about articulation. Okay, so I'm going to whip through this fairly quickly, just in case someone's watching who's never had a G.I. Joe Classified figure in hand before. This is the standard G.I. Joe Classified series articulation scheme with rock and roll. So I'll demonstrate, but for those who have had a G.I. Joe Classified series figure, you'll be very familiar with what's going on here. So on the head there, we've got the hinge and ball on the neck, giving us some good up, good down, tilt, swivel, do your full exorcist, and the hinge at the bottom of the neck gives it a little bit more movement as well. That's all lovely jubbly. Moving down into the shoulders, we've got the butterfly joints there, giving him a little bit of shuffle forward and back. Hinge in the armpit, bringing your T shape there. You can go all the way round. You've then got the swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep. Nice pinless double elbow hinge that goes all the way up to there like that. And then the classic G.I. Joe Classified pinned hands, which you can swivel all the way round. And then this right hand's got a hinge up and down. And the left hand's got a hinge forward and back. Ab crunch here, you can see very clearly in the torso. Good range of motion forward, good range of motion back. Although, as you can see, if you go too far back, it looks a bit aesthetically weird. But it's there. And then hip swivel. Got the classic G.I. Joe Classified drop-down joint in the groin. All lovely jubbly. Oh, sorry, folks, I had my hand in front of the light there. Giving you the ballet dancer, the Russian ballet dancer. No probs at all. Decent forward as well. Not very far back, but is often the case with the way that the arse is moulded. Thigh cut with a swivel at the top of the thigh. Very good. Double knee. Pinless double knees again goes all the way up. You can get it right up to his belt there, look. Although what I will say, a little note on that, had to apply a lot of heat, got the hairdryer out on the knees and the ankle joint, which I'll come to in a minute. Very, very rigid, very stiff out the box, like anxiety-inducing rigid, until I got a bit of heat on there. Swivel at the top of the boot. And then the aforementioned ankle articulation, got a hinge there, forward and back, and then the rocker swivelly thing, the ball joint there, for further articulation. So rock and roll's articulation is standard, but what a standard it is. G.I. Joe Classified series really set the bar, I think, when it comes to action figure posability. The additional element that he doesn't have, a big piece of body armor on, a flat jacket or anything, or masses of webbing or bits going on, means that the stuff that commonly restricts this range of mobility that you have with G.I. Joe Classified series isn't present either, so you can do a little bit more. And I've definitely had a lot of fun posing him up and taking photos. Last night I did loads with him because it was just, well, he looks great, but there's a lot you can get done with him. So yeah, I mean, G.I. Joe Classified series, it's the highest standard that I'm aware of Hasbro are putting out. I think the only line I haven't ever had in hand is Power Rangers, but it certainly beats Marvel Legends, which I collect quite heavily. Fortnite, which my lad picks up, it's really smashing it out of the park. So very, very happy. And once again, big thumbs up. So that's 2 A's smashing it out of the park. We've got aesthetic and articulation doing well. Let's now see if rock and roll can keep up this record when we come into the 3rd A and talk about the accessories and added value. All right, I'm going to start with one of my favourite pieces of added value accessory action with rock and roll, and that's his helmet. Look at this piece of work. It's wonderful. Really just brings a lot of character and personality to the figure. It's got lots of different colours on there as well, which I like. I criticised G.I. Joe Classified last year for being a little bit too single plastic sculpt for things like helmets and backpacks and what have you, and that's not the case here. Got bits of brown in there to kind of give a little bit of contrast to the green. Got the little bit of graffiti there. Hang 10 in recognition of his, what is he? Is he a surfer? Is that what that's about? I mean, Hang 10 is a surfer term, isn't it? I think he's a surfer dude. So, yeah, lovely piece of kit there. Lots of personality. The little marker penned, little sharpied message on there just really, again, adds to the storytelling, adds to the narrative elements of the figure. So that's all lovely. And it's a great fit on his head. Yeah, dead straightforward. Just pop it on top over there and then just line it up as you see fit. I tend to bring it up over his eyes a little bit more like that and see a bit of the eyebrow. But, you'll do you, however you wanting to wear the helmet. But, yeah, I think it's a great look. Goes well. The greens match up nicely with the greens in the main body of the figure. It gives it a nice kind of frame, nice kind of look. I've already mentioned the Hang 10 Sharpie there, which I think really adds to the storytelling element of the figure. So that's all lovely. And I mentioned about the narrow head earlier, and I said I think there's a practical reason for that. And of course, this is that reason. I think if his head was just had that extra millimetre or so of width, that I think to my eye, the other G.I. Joe classified figures have. By the time you put the helmet on, it would make him look really wide and like one of those early Black Series Mandalorian helmets that just like looked really frying pan flatted out the front, you know what I mean? So with the helmet on, I think that both balances up the sort of width and shape and aesthetic look when he's in display next to the other G.I. Joe classified figures, but yeah, they played it nicely. They've done a good turn. The narrower head didn't bother me all that much anyway, but with the helmet on, it totally makes sense. Then we've got the walkie-talkie, bit of comms for Rock and Roller there. I like this. It's got some nice sculpted detail in there, so you know exactly what it is. You know, the aerial and the buttons and the screen and all that. But I also appreciate the fact that it's 3 different colours. Got the brown, the green, and the black in there, which really helps bring it to life. This can be stored on Rock and Roll's person. There's a couple of holes in his belt, actually, but I think this one round the back is the one for the radio, and that's got a peg on it there that you can just slot into this one here, and he can... Oh, there you go. I'm trying to watch the screen while while doing it in person slightly over to the left. There you go, and just sits on his belt there like that. Then we've got the hand swaps here. Very pleased to see a G.I. Joe Classified Series figure with some hand swaps, especially these hand swaps, because they're nice. We've got the fist there. OG-13 Yojo fist pump is possible with Rock and Roll, which is nice. And then we've got the sign of the devil horns, you know, the rock hand gesture there, which of course again just really adds to the storytelling. You know, the narrative of the character gives it a lot of personality. Very, very keen on that. Usual routine with this, just pop it out with the pin, with the peg, pin, whatever you want to call it, and then pop the new one in like so. For those about to rock, we salute you. Then into his weaponry, we've got a little handgun here. He's got a pistol. It's all right. It looks a bit funny shaped to me. I know there's a few folks out there who know firearms a lot better than I do, so if you could help me out in the comments to know what this is, but it's got like a little extended magazine on it, and it seems less bulky up top here in the main chamber area, if that's even what that's called, chamber area. So it looks like a little, like... BB gun to me, or what we would call over here an air pistol, but so yeah, someone will let me know. I know one of you guys, you never let me down when it comes to helping me backfill my firearms knowledge. However, it's sculpted well enough, a single piece of plastic, nice, and it's not quite as wobbly as some previous weapons have been. It's quite solid. That goes into the holster on the leg there, like so. Standard G.I. Joe Classified Series holster with no stupid peg on it. Then we got the main attraction, this beast, the big, this is a M60, I want to say. I've seen my Rambo too. I'm pretty sure that's an M60 there. That's a lovely piece of kit there. I like the real life associations, makes me think sort of, like I say, 80s, 70s, 80s, Rambo, Vietnam movies, those types of things. So that's a nice element. Really well sculpted, lots of sculpted detail in there. There's a few other elements to this that I'll point out in a minute. But we've got the bystand. Oh, do you know what? Someone when I did Dusty, someone said that's called a such and such, and I feel like it had buy in it, and I've gone and already forgotten. I apologise so much. Lovely MoDXtra Games and Collectibles community member who told me that. This is a bit fiddly actually. It's a bit wobbly, a bit flimsy. The little stands, and I was trying to get him down in a sort of laid down, covering fire, laid down position, and you can't quite get the head bent back enough. But I feel like I saw a promo photo with him like that, so I'll perhaps have another swing of that. So they're a bit annoying. I've been keeping them folded in, to be honest, because they've been doing me head in. But you can see we've got the belt, the bullet belt area chamber here, and then on the other side you can see these two little peg holes here, because what you also get with the figure is a bullet belt, like so, about that long. There you go. Or a bullet box. Do you still call it a magazine when it's on a big heavy machine gun like that? With a little bullet belt piece that you can, just kind of slot in there like that. Now this section here pegs into the holes at the side. So I've been doing it like this. Again, I'm open to folks letting me know in the comments down below if there's some other way that should look that I'm unfamiliar with. And that looks all right. It's decent. I prefer the box really to the bullet belt. But one observation that I have had is that the pegs that hold it in are really loose. Really loose. I've been knocking them out all the time as I've been posing them up. It's a bit Oh, well, of course, now on camera it's not doing it. But trust me, the peg holes aren't quite as... the resistance, the grasp isn't quite as strong as we've seen with other magazines in the past. I suppose it's because it's on the side, but it's all right. Now, you'll also notice there's a peg on the inside of this big bullet belt magazine box thing, and that's because you can put that on his person too. At least I believe so. I believe that's what the other peg hole in the belt is for, that you can then put his put this in there like so, have it there attached to his belt, ready for a swift reload in the heat of battle. And the bullet belt you can feed through the gap in the machine gun there, nice and easy, nice and straightforward. Looks nice. Got the leather straps and the brass colour in there, which matches up to the straps across his chest. So, yeah, that's nice. Like I say, I've been using the box a bit more. I just like that aesthetically better than I do the bullet belt. But it certainly opens up a range of kind of posing and display options, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're working on a diorama, want to get him paired up with, like, Stalker or something, feeding the belt in for him, then you can do, which is nice. Now, that's a pretty solid accessory selection as far as I'm concerned, and I believe I've had my added value there with the figure. On two levels, really. The fact that there's a fair few bits, got hand swaps, a helmet, a couple of guns, a radio. I like it when we get little tidbits like radios and stuff. That's one of the reasons I like Outback, because you've got the shovel and stuff, extra little kind of elements there. So that's nice. But also because the accessories that come with him add to the visual aesthetic of the figure, they add to the storytelling potential and the posing potential, which is always really lovely. So not only do they look good, and it's, you get a lump of stuff, which is nice to have a number of accessories, a few accessories there, but also they contribute well to the play experience and the posing experience and just the general man-child playtime that I've been having. So, it works on two levels there for me, which means accessories is getting not just one, but two thumbs up. Definitely all over that. Very, very happy with the accessory selection. Okay, folks, quick figure comparison for you here. Here's Rock and Roll with Outback, Tiger Force Outback, who've both now heavy contenders for positions on my top 3 G.I. Joe Classified Series figures, because I really love Outback. He took my number 1 spot for quite some time, but Rock and Roll's come along and give him a run for his money. But yeah, I think they're a great pairing. They look wonderful together. Kind of a bit like, what it makes me think of in my head canon. Like, this is a dad taking his son out on what appears to be a very extreme hunting trip. Here's Rock and Roll with his fellow wave buddy Shipwreck, mostly so that I can point out that Shipwreck's going to be the next video in this little run of G.I. Joe Classified Series reviews, so fitting in a plug. Shipwreck coming soon. Watch this space. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Here's Rock and Roll with another fellow wave buddy, this time Copperhead from the Cobra side of the line. And I'll finish up with a Sergeant Slaughter, the only other character to my knowledge and recollection, although I've been proven wrong in the past on random knowledge and recollection points I make, but to my knowledge, the only other character in G.I. Joe Classified Series that you can do a Yo-Joe fist bump with. Yo-Joe! Well, okay then, folks, here we go. Here's Rock and Roll going around on the turntable in a bit of a pose that I sort of loosely finished up on. And yesterday, after I was taking some photos, I popped him on the shelf, and this is kind of where I'm at. I'm not entirely happy with the legs. I think I need to do a bit of work on the legs, but I definitely like that dynamic feel of motion and him throwing up his rock hand gesture there. So it'll be something in this ballpark when I do finally settle into something. But yeah, if you've not gathered from my absence of criticism, my broad absence of criticism from this video, it's a MoDXtra Games and Collectibles recommends. I think this guy's a banger. I love him a great deal. I've had loads of fun. These last 2 days, I've been playing non-stop. It's been man-child playtime. Totally neglected my children over the holiday weekend to play with my toys. Rock and Roll has definitely been a central feature of that playtime for sure. So very pleased and would highly recommend this figure. I mean, it's been thumbs up all the way through, my 3As. So very happy with him. There could be an element of him resonating with me a bit. If you've ever seen me on camera, if you've watched any of my videos where I'm on camera, I'm a bit of a kind of classic rock and roller guy myself, so there's definitely an element to that. But it's got everything. It looks good. He's got great accessories. He's got an element of storytelling. There's personality, in everything, in the look, in the accessories, in the sculpting, in the paint applications. It just all adds up to make for a great experience. So yeah, lots of playability. with him, lots of posability. If you're a photographer, if you like making dioramas, if you want to make an exciting display, if you like to get down on the ground in the garden and do some pew-pew, this is the figure for you. No two ways about it. Right, okay, well, there we go. So I hope you enjoyed this review. That's rock and roll done. If you have enjoyed this review, please make sure you give us a like and subscribe. Don't forget, we've got Shipwreck and Scrap Iron coming down the pipeline soon. So if you like a good, thorough, close look at those guys, watch this space for more. But in the meantime, thanks so very much for watching. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with me. And I'm grateful that you chose my channel over the multitude of others that you could have chosen today. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time, folks. Bye-bye now.